All right, Remnant. I thought I'd just give you a real quick teaching as far as when it comes to reading the scriptures or listening to a preacher or hearing somebody talk about scriptures or quoting scriptures. We got to remember that any text taken out of context makes it a pretext. A pretext is a falsehood or an ideology that someone's trying to prove right but has no proof of it being correct. And so there's so many scriptures or so many texts, let's say, that are taken out of context that basically all we have from pulpits are pretext. And pretext will not manifest anything in our lives. As a matter of fact, pretext can cause us to go into falsehood, which leads us down to false doctrines and false teachers, which the scriptures really warn about. So we don't want to go down that path at all. So how do we keep in perfect alignment with Yahweh's words? Yahweh's words are very sacred. That's why he says that not one word should be altered or moved. And if it is, there's a curse placed upon that person according to the book of Revelation. So it also says about his word that his word is forever settled in heaven. It says that he even esteems his name or his word even above his name. So his word is very serious to him. Man should not live off bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh. So we understand that his word is everything, but how do we make sure that we're getting what his word is and not what man's word is? Because you could read the Bible and still get it out of context. Well, here's real quick a nutshell of how to properly align scriptures when you're reading them so that you get it in total perfect context. All right, here it is. When you read, there's three forms of what it needs to go through, three formulas of what it needs to go through, if you will, kind of like if you're a mad scientist and you're trying to get to the last thing. You got to mix this vial, mix that vial, and do a study here and do a study there. And so with scripture, it's like this. You read a scripture, you get a scripture. You know, it's not about memorizing scripture. It's about understanding scripture. It's not about just reading the Bible for the sake of reading the Bible. It's about getting revelation. So here's how it works. You read it. And then this is the first question you read off of that scripture, or when you go into a first book of whatever you want to do. Here's how it works. Here's how you get it through. This is how you're going to keep you, safeguard your soul, and you really won't have to have any man teach you. You can do it yourself this way with the Ruach's help. You go first, the historical account. What is the historical account? So if I got a Bible and I open it up, and let's say it's 1 Corinthians. First of all, I want to find out what is the historical account of this city called Corinth. What are they known for? What's going on in Corinth? When was it written? So I'll know the timetable, the culture. I want to get the historic background. I first got to get the historic background to know why would he be writing in such a way to a certain culture that's possibly having this issue or that issue, or their different things that he's combating, different errors. And that sort of thing. So the historical, who's the author that wrote it? Who's he writing to? So you got your author, and then so the author of the letter, and then you have who is his audience he's writing to, and then you have why is he writing it? What's he writing? What is he rebuking? What is he exhorting? And why? Second, then you got to go and say, is it a literal interpretation that he's writing? Is this literal? Is this literal what he really means, or is this a spiritualized? Meaning this, when, let me give you examples. There's literal when he's writing, maybe about judgment. It's literal. It went down. It's already happened. It's past tense. It's gone. It's already done. He was written after a little time. God judged that country, whatever, and so we cannot take that judgment and then try to apply it to something nowadays, because it literally happened. So that scripture was a literal scripture. And so who was it literally for? Was it literally for Israel and for that time, or is it spiritual? Because if it's spiritual, then it expounds out of time. Then it doesn't have to. He could have written it to ancient Israel, but it can happen in modern day America, or wherever you're at in the world. So the literal interpretation means we got to take it for literal. It really happened. It's done. We can't take that out and use it like we do all the time. But if it's spiritual, then we can, yes, apply it. Okay? Here's a case. What do you mean by spiritual, Steve? Well, in the book of Revelation, John, the Revelator, that was writing about the apocalypse, he sees scorpions and he sees flying locusts and they're shooting and they're stinging and are these literal? Well, it's not literal. It probably saw helicopters, probably saw Black Hawks, probably saw things that are out in the military world today, and that's what he was describing them, knowing what he was going on. So that would be called a spiritual analysis. So there's a spiritual analysis, we get to it. But when we mix a literal, it already happened, into a spiritual, or try to it's called an allegory, and we try to make it into something, that's when we get into trouble, okay? And so that's exactly what the Pharisees and the Sadducees did with the law of Yahweh. That's what Yeshua is coming against, and where we think, he's coming against the law. He's not. He's coming against what they made the law. So we do that nowadays. And then thirdly, so you got the historical account. You got, is it literal or is it spiritual? And then you have to take into account, what is it? How does it apply? The applicable part to my life, or to my times, or to my situation. Because regardless of the historical account, regardless of the literal or the spiritual account, how can I apply? Because if I can apply it to my life, although that doctrinally it was for that time, or doctrinally it's for this nation, or that nation, or for this people group or that people group, I can still apply the spiritual principle behind it. And if I apply the spiritual principle behind it, I can still see results. Got what I'm saying? So, hey, take those three things into account. Scripture is going to be more scarce and scarce and more scarce, and you're going to have so many false teachers out there. That's the number one sign of the time. Yeshua told us. So listen to me. Get into your scriptures. Read the scriptures. My Doberman's pushing me out of the bed, and and we'll go from there. I love you all. Shalom. There he is, our big baby Tank. Hi, baby. All right. Love y'all. Bye.